Hi there, it's Diane Forster, and welcome to I Have Today. This is our weekly series where we inspire, empower, and educate you through your life's transitions to reinvent yourself. And each week on this show, I have the most awesome, coolest, amazing experts, authors, entrepreneurs, leaders, CEOs, and literally world changers who come on to tell their story of their own journey and their own transitions to reinvent their lives to come out on the other side successful. And I am super excited about our show today because my guest is someone I've worked with, someone I admire, and I also call a friend, and it's Andrea Isaacs. So welcome to the show, Andrea.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, nice to have you here. So let me just tell the guests what we do here. So each week what we do is we pick a topic that we talk about that relates to our expert, our guest's field of work, and how that ties into what we do here at I Have Today. And we talk about what the theme of the show is, and we set an intention for it, because we always want to be living the I Have Today way, which is intentionally with passion and purpose. And so our theme for this week is really understanding emotional intelligence and living your best life. And the content that we're going to discuss tonight is about 3 reasons to understand the mind-body connection and how that plays into your life, and how with the work that Andrea does, she's an expert. She is, I'm going to read her bio in a second, but she's going to talk about how she incorporated what she used to do with what she studied and what she now does, and how she's combined that, where she's literally creating these massive transformations for people. It's just incredible. And I know this firsthand because I've worked with her, which we're going to talk about. So, let's talk about the theme for the show, or the intention for the show. Actually, let me say that. So we always set an intention, and the intention is, I have today to nurture my spirit, mind, and body. And we're going to talk a lot about the mind-body connection and how that works together, and what emotional intelligence is. The Enneagram that Andrea has invented, and her processes. But before we do that, I want to read her fantastic bio and let you know a little bit about Andrea. So Andrea Isaacs is the creator of the EnneaMotion and has been a trustworthy guide in the personal and spiritual realms for 30 years. Her students have called her a spiritual teacher extraordinaire. She has developed easy-to-use tools for the archetypal themes that most frequently throw people off their center, including ineffective communication styles, like being too direct or not speaking up, over or under expressing anger, issues with asking for support, and unblocking the expression of and the ability to receive love, which is so huge. She understands transformation and skillfully brings people to the core of their issues, guiding their return to wholeness and balance. She's the founding faculty member of the Riso Hudson Part 2 Enneagram Training, co-founding editor, publisher of the Enneagram Monthly, was a board member of the International Enneagram Association for 6 years, is a guild member for Online Course International, and a trainer for Young Presidents Organization. She is certified with Riso Hudson and Parma Daniels, and has interviewed the major teachers in the Enneagram field. She's worked with thousands of people around the globe in group and individual settings, including me, and is an award-winning speaker. Her programs are fun, engaging, and thought-provoking, and she leaves people with a greater sense of balance, purpose, clear and clean communication, and an ease in finding joy and fulfillment. So, like I said, I'm so excited to have you here. I'm so excited for the audience that's there. Get comfortable. Get something to write on, take notes. You're going to want to really absorb the content in this show because it's so powerful, and it's really going to positively and powerfully impact and shift your life in a positive way. So, all right.
Wow. What a beginning.
So we're starting. So, all right. So the topic that I chose is 3 reasons to understand the mind-body connection. And so number 1 is we are energy. So our bodies give off clues without even saying a word. And if you notice it, you can tell by someone's body language if their arms are crossed or facial expressions, or even just coming near somebody, their energy, you can tell, oh, I got a bad vibe or a good feeling or a bad feeling as you approach somebody. So the body tells us so much. The energy just bounces off and comes off people, right? I'm sure you have a lot to say about
I know my head is filled with like 10 things I want to say at the same time, but I'll do one at a time. I'll do my best. So yes, absolutely. It has everything to do with who and how we are. The funny thing is kids are in touch with their bodies. They play, they use their bodies freely, they express themselves physically. And as we age, we're taught to keep our hands to ourselves and not to touch things. And something about the voice of our body gets shut down. So we stop listening to it.
Yeah.
Our body has a voice. And one of the things I teach is how, what is that voice? It's like a foreign language. And one of the things I like to say, like if our listeners want to learn how to listen to their bodies, what do you do if you're listening to music and you can't hear it? You turn the volume up, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what we do with our body language. So in other words, some people may say, well, I don't know what that feels like in my body. I'm just angry. Well, I see that your jaw is really clenched. Oh, is it? And they're walking around like this, and their whole body has this compression, for example. And as they start to listen to their body, they turn the volume up. Well, if my jaw is clenched, an example would be, well, what would it be like if you clenched your whole body? So then they'll do that. And in doing that, they start to understand how they feel. So often we don't know what we feel, how we feel, or we want to make a change. We'll have the idea of how we want to be different. We'll have the feeling of how I want to feel different. And yet the change doesn't happen. I know that happened to me like for decades. And when we can't make the change we want, we've got to turn the channel and try something different. And I think that changing the energy in our bodies is huge, because as we do that, it changes our brain. It changes how we think, how we feel, and how we respond to challenges.
Yes. Oh, it's so powerful. So funny. I was with my daughter last night having dinner, and she was describing this story to me. And she actually said the words to me. She was explaining something. She was in a stressful situation and she was unsure about it. She was in Vegas with friends and in a strange environment. And she said, it wasn't until X, Y, and Z that I can finally unclench my body. She actually said those words. It was so powerful. How in touch she was with it, but not realizing that, in that moment, all of that stuff is going on. And I clicked and I thought, oh my God, that's so wild. Isn't that so wild?
Well, I think that what she was doing was using what I call somatic language. Yes. Somatic language is language that you can actually feel in your body, that it incites movement of some sort. And I think if we can find somatic language, it can be the doorway to our transformation.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. All right. Well, then another reason why is because our patterns and habits change through creating new neural pathways. It's not the old ones. It's that we have to create new ones, right?
Yeah. In fact, when people don't get that, that's why they think change is difficult.
Yes.
Change is difficult because the old neural pathways or the old patterns, let me explain a neural pathway. Every time you have a thought or a feeling or you do something, your brain releases this chemical which carries a message. And that chemical lands on a nerve cell, which sends that message to the next nerve cell and the next and the next and the next along these neural pathways. And in a very literal sense, we feel that in every cell of our bodies. And so just like strengthening our muscles when we go to the gym, we do our reps and our muscles get bigger and stronger. Same thing happens to our neural pathway. So, the way you get up in the morning and brush your teeth and the order of events that you prepare a meal, all of those are patterns, or the way you respond. When you say this, I just do that. That's just who I am, for instance. Yes. These are all patterns. And when we repeat them a lot, just like our muscles getting stronger when we go to the gym, those patterns get really thick and strong and big, and they just jump to act, because they think it's their job. And we think change is difficult because those patterns are actually running us. And when we want to make change, it's really hard to stop those patterns. However, we can create new patterns. That's what I'm sure you do in your coaching. It's what I do in my coaching. We create a new neural pathway that supports the pattern that the way you'd rather think, feel, and be. And when you have that new neural pathway, when you enter that old situation that used to trigger the old pattern, now you have an option. You have a choice that's very easy to make and very easy to do because guess what? You have the neural pathway. And now it's part of who you are.
Right. The pivot can happen that fast. And you're obviously such an expert and so well versed in this, but this is, in layman terms, this is how easy it is to make change. You do have, once you understand this and you have the awareness, making the change is so fast.
Yeah, you were saying it before we went live, you said something like it's twice as fast. You know what? It can be immediate.
Yeah.
I think it's faster than twice as fast.
Yeah.
I had a client who was going through this huge struggle. And I was asking her how long it had been going on. She said, well, I thought I'd hit rock bottom once before. And I thought, surely it can't get any worse. And it got worse. And then she said, surely I hit rock bottom. Now it got really bad. And she said, no, it just kept getting worse.
Yes.
And so what we discussed was about changing your mind.
Yes.
And it's like I saw this V, right? And we spiral down, 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 down. And rock bottom happens when you change your mind. Because when you change your mind, then the V just goes like this and you start going into a different trajectory. And the way you can change your mind is by finding a new neural pathway. And then change happens as soon as it's that pivot point. I love that term for it. It's a pivot point. That's all.
It is.
You just need the right tools.
It's so cool. I love all of this. It's just so fascinating. All right. So that was one of the points I was going to make, which is that change can happen twice as fast. And you're right. That was the third reason why to do that. But it can be instantaneously. And it's really like what you said. It's a choice. It's a decision too. I think the first, and I'm sure you agree with this, the first moment that change happens is the moment you decide you want to make a change, where you really commit to wanting to make a change and you take that first action step to do it. That's when it starts to change. And it's making that commitment and taking that action first, really.
Yeah. And creating these neural pathways support you. As soon as you make the decision, especially when you have that neural pathway, it's so much easier.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into you and your story, which is so exciting. So tell the audience, a little bit, obviously I read your bio, but more about you and what you do and your story on how you came to be doing what you're doing. Sure.
Well, what I'm doing now is I'm a coach, a trainer, and a speaker. In coaching, what I do is I find out what people's patterns are that they are tired of, that they want to shift. And they'll do a process with me. And I so often hear this, I've been in therapy for 7 years trying to change that, and I never did. And in one session, they feel like, you know what, I could do this now. Yeah. So my coaching is, it's quick. It's fast, deep, and quick. Yes. And I'm training people to use my methods. I'm training people to teach EnneaMotion and to use my coaching modality, which I call somatic focusing. I'm training coaches and therapists to use that modality in their practices. And I do a lot of speaking. And, it wasn't always this way for me because I spent the first decades of my life being painfully shy. I didn't know, I was afraid to be me. I was not comfortable in my skin. And I felt like it wasn't fair for me to have a choice. It wasn't fair. I had to do what was expected. And so I was kind of taught and trained not to really speak up for myself. To the point that if someone, I'll jump to the sort of a turning point. Well, it wasn't really a turning point. It was devastating. But I said yes to marry a man I knew I didn't want to be married to. And I'm walking down the aisle, and my father had recently passed, so my brother walked me down the aisle, and I have my arm in his arm, and I'm screaming inside my head, "Don't take me to the altar! Don't take me to the altar! No, anywhere but there! Take me away! Don't take me!" I'm screaming it right silently in my head. Of course, he couldn't hear me, I got married.
Yeah.
And so and that was before I was doing this work.
Yeah.
So one of my passions in doing this is I don't want anyone else to walk down the altar to a life they don't want.
I couldn't agree more. And it's so, what a story. So how long did you stay married?
We were together 10 years and married in the next 3. So we were together 10 years.
Okay.
But I went kicking and screaming every step of the way.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a voice.
Right. Right.
And that's, in fact, is one of the things I love teaching. When people, and I think that having a voice means a lot of things. It could be expressing an opinion. It could be, you really hurt my feelings and I'm angry. It could be, this is what I want with my future or my job or what. But what happens with that is people have a misunderstanding, especially about anger. They either overdo it or they underdo it.
Mm.
With people who overdo it may start by saying, well, I'm just going to tell you my truth. I need to be authentic now. And when they come across with that edge, it doesn't go well.
Right.
And then the opposite, when people are around that, this is what happened to me. I did the opposite. I just never spoke it. I would withdraw. I hid.
Yes.
And neither one is effective. And if you want to be happy, if you want a fulfilled life, if you want the life that you want, you've got to know what you want. You've got to speak up for what you want. You've got to find your voice.
Yes.
And you and I both know what it is to not have that. And I think that's why we're both so driven to empower people to have that.
Yes, it's so true. Yeah. And you speak of it from voice, and I did, I was so reactionary. I was so, I was so triggered. I was so judgmental. I was so unhappy. I was so lonely. I had all of these things going on with me. And what I considered it for me, the root cause of it, and it's, the foundation for a lot of the work that I do is I just didn't love myself and I didn't have any self-worth. I just didn't think I was worthy of the things that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretended I didn't want them anymore. Right?
Oh, I know that one. Yeah.
Which we can live like, that's not the way the abundant, infinite universe works. Once you want it, you can't not want it. You can't undo that. And it shows up in, the most incredible ways. Like, I almost ended my life because of it. So much was going on. So I understand that. So what was the breakout moment for you with finding your voice?
Well, funnily, it was teaching EnneaMotion. So in doing EnneaMotion, we explore each of these different personalities. Ennea means 9, and it describes, the Enneagram describes 9 different patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Okay. And there are natural gifts and strengths each personality has, and also natural challenges they each have. And in EnneaMotion, we explore each type when they're really healthy, and we explore their gifts, and each type has a dark shadow. And we go into the dark shadow for a lot of reasons. Not only is it a way to learn what the type is, it's a way to learn how that shows up or doesn't show up in you and how you want to be regarding the energy of that particular type. So we're exploring the type called the leader, which is something I didn't have any of, because the dark shadow of the leader is someone who's not just confident and speaks up and expresses their opinion. They're direct and they're decisive and all of that, but they take it to such an extreme, they get controlling and manipulative, and they can go to rage and anger and expressing all of that. And that scared me so much, I swore I'm never going to be like that. Okay, so here I am teaching 65 people EnneaMotion. This is maybe one of the early times in 1994-ish. And it's going fine. We go down into the dark shadow. First, I thought, oh my God, this room exploded in rage, and I wanted to bolt. And I looked for the door, and I'm ready. And I said, no, you can't leave. You're the facilitator. And I go, oh, okay. So I forced myself to stay. And this man came up to me, and he's just striking and pouting, and he's doing all the rage that I was telling them all to do. And he came up to me as if he were attacking me. He didn't touch me, but just the energy of that scared me to death. And I started cowering, and I got smaller, and I'm looking up at him like shaking, because it was like it just scared me to death. And then I had this insight, oh, this is just an exercise. I can do that back. And I tried, but when I did it, it was like, because I didn't have a neural pathway for that big energy.
Yeah.
I stayed away from that big energy because it scared me too much. Yeah. And so in doing that, I started to learn, you know what? Anger is just energy. And I learned in doing that exercise, you know what? I can stand in that energy, and it doesn't have to make me do anything. I could just stand in it. And what happened is, as that energy sort of was infused into me, it filled me with confidence. It filled me with the ability to literally hold my ground and be present. And then I could just speak. I could just say, stop. That was really painful. Or that hurt me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to yell, scream, cry, run away, withdraw, and hide. I didn't have to do any of that. I could just stand there and say what I needed to say in a kind, loving way.
Yes.
And that changed my life.
Yes. Yes. How empowering that moment is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that story. So, well, you and I met at an event that you were speaking at. And from that event, you taught us the process of mudras and mantras. And so that was so powerful. So talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So mantra and mudra are both Sanskrit terms. A common mantra is Om. It could be any word or phrase. A common mudra is a prayer or meditation position. And it embodies the intention of the words of the mantra. So together, alone, a mantra is a lot like an affirmation. But when you include the mudra, the body, I sometimes call them power phrases and power poses. When you include the body with the mantra or the phrase, now you're creating a neural pathway. And now you're really changing the brain. And together, that they're really powerful to support the change that you want. But more specifically, the context where I was speaking was about the Enneagram, and we were embodying more of the gifts, and each type has a challenge. So if it is your type, maybe you don't need the gift so much. You need what I call what each type most needs in their personal development. And then we custom design it so it really suits more where you are in your life in a way that best supports your best next steps.
Yes, yeah. I remember it was really powerful that day. And then you and we did your EQ quiz together, and I got my own chart, which I'm going to show everybody. Wait, let me see my camera.
Yeah, I can see it really well. Yeah. So what everyone's looking at here is a circle with a bunch of circles and lines and colors, and the Enneagram is behind there. The Enneagram is the circle, just the outer circle, the triangle, and these other lines. And each of the Enneagram types has a slice of pie, so to speak. It's a pie chart. So each slice of pie is divided in half with a green score and a red score. The green score reflects the gifts in each area. And Diane, we could tell at a glance that you're gifted in so many areas. And I know that to be true about you. You're so gifted and you've done so many amazing things in your life. And we can see that from your chart. And the red scores show us your challenges. What's fun about seeing your chart, Diane, is one of the ways you describe yourself is I dream big and fast. I think you said that. And not everyone dreams. Not everyone knows that they deserve a dream. And so your imagination, the 7 in you, as scores are really strong. The 7 in you has that capacity to dream. The 8 in you has the capacity to be big and how you show up in the world. And the 3 in you has the gift of just being really efficient and fast about it. So it's so great that you use those words. I dream big and fast. And there's no doubt that, your I have today was an idea, 5 years ago. And since then, you've made it a book, you made it a TV show, you made it it's become your mission. Yes. So anyway, what we see in your chart is the gifts and the challenges you have all the way around. And in the conversation, we can talk about how you can shift the challenges that have been hindering you in moving forward.
Yes, yeah. So isn't this such a fascinating tool? I mean, do you hear what you just said about me right away? We, in our session together, it was so illuminating for me how she just honed in and she knew exactly who I was and my shadows and where I needed help. And it was so illuminating. So that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on the show, because what a powerful experience to have that for yourself and a different view of looking into yourself from a whole new perspective, because there's tons of assessments and things out there, but I've never seen anything quite like this. I mean,
and it's a little different than some of the other Enneagram tests too, because even though my quiz might point to what your type is, what's become really interesting to me is how those scores impact each other and the combined impact they have on you. Yes. And so there's a whole other level of awareness that we can get from these results.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, So let us talk about, people who are out there who are struggling to overcome things. Like you overcame the fact that you didn't have a voice. And, this is a big challenge for a lot of people where they don't feel like they have a voice, or, they're feeling stuck. I know you probably hear this word a lot. It is the number one word I hear from my clients. I feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
What can you offer for them, and to help them and guide them in this, that stage that they're in, because we will
Sure.
both.
Right. Well, the first one is to have compassion for yourself, because there's probably good reason that you've been like that. When you're stuck, there is an old belief that was imprinted in you for a good reason. It made you safe when you were young, when you needed to hold back, needed to not express yourself for some reason. So it's great to give yourself compassion and understanding, and then to say, you know what, I'm done with this. It's, as you were saying before, to make that decision that I deserve fill in the blank. I deserve my dream. I deserve, if you have whatever it is that you want. Now, a lot of people they don't have an answer to that question. So just keep asking yourself, what do I want? What do I want? And don't judge whatever the answer is. Whatever the answer is good, because you're creating the neural pathway for creating an answer. So just keep and sometime at some point, something's going to bubble up and you go, that's it. But, in short, I deserve my dream. Yes. And as you say that and feel that in your body, I deserve my dream. And that is, I heard recently, this is from Christy Marie Sheldon. I heard this statement about it. It's a new way to define I am. I've heard a lot of people talk about I am statements. I use them in creating mantras all the time. Yeah. She had a new one for me. So I is your intention. Say my intention is I'm going to make this dream happen. I'm going to make it happen. I is intention. Use that a lot in your work as well. The A is action, but it's not just any action. It's focused action.
Okay.
But what's really cool is the M. It's not just focused action. It's massive action. That means it's consistent, it's steady, it's always focused towards that end goal, because I deserve my dream. I know it's going to happen. And then you take focused, massive action. That means you don't just sit down and do it for 5 minutes. That's not massive. You dedicate time.
You do dedicate time. And I love this acronym. I love Christy Marie Sheldon too. Mm-hmm. And I just did a Facebook Live about an hour before we went on, and I did a speaking event yesterday, and I talked about the power of commitment and consistency.
That's it. Right.
You have got to be, first of all, you're either interested in having an extraordinary life and making your dreams come true, or you're committed.
Right.
There's the difference. It's like, I'm interested, or I'm committed.
Right.
And commitment, movement towards that takes massive action. It does. It really does. So that's powerful. That's really powerful. This is so good. I love it. And I deserve my dream. Of course we do. We all deserve our dream.
We all do.
We're living in this fantastic, incredible world on this journey. And the fact that we're here is a 400 trillion to 1 odd. We are miracles. And the fact that we waste time worrying about the most minutiae things is it's just so crazy that we're wasting our today. This is so being really intentional, taking that massive action, feeling like you're deserving is what it's all about. So the more you're out doing your work, Andrea, and I'm doing my work, and we are collaborating together to get this message out to the world, the more empowered people are going to live, and happier and fulfilled, right?
Yeah.
It's just so important. So I'm so grateful for you. All right, my next question for you is, how do you live the I have today way?
Well, yeah, I do start the morning with a centering practice.
Okay,
and then included in that is my daily intention. It's the who and how I want to be today. And if I want to be the person that's moving towards my dream, it means I need to focus X amount of time on something that needs to happen to make that happen. Yeah. Or, whatever it means. So what's my intention for who and how I want to be? I love to pose the question, who's the me I want to be? And that's the answer to that is especially important when someone's pushing my buttons. And my goal is to live my life in a way that's in harmony to my answer to that question. Yes. I want to be a peaceful person, but what if someone, pisses me off, right?
Right.
Am I still that peaceful person? That's the challenge, right? I still want to speak up for myself and I want the peace. Can we do both? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I want to be that person all the time. So my practice is to, it's in the morning intention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. And because you do that every day, it's so, it's so at the forefront of your mind, and you live, in alignment with it as much as you possibly can. I'm sure of it.
Well, and there are moments in the day, and sometimes life stuff happens that it seems to be out of my control, and so there are. I've become really adept at switching the energy in my body like this. I don't necessarily need the mantra. If I notice something's happening, it could be a person did something or said something or life or, something I didn't like. I can switch the energy in my body. It takes intention and awareness of your body. So I encourage everybody to be aware of how your body is feeling right now. Notice the sensations in your belly, in your heart, in your jaw. Notice your breath. Little things like that speak volumes. There's so much information in our body's language.
Yes. And creating that awareness of it is so important, which thank you for all of this amazing information. All right. So do you have one final piece of advice or something you'd like to share with the audience?
So is this my gift?
No, we're going to do your gift in a minute, but something that is just a great takeaway for somebody, like anchor this.
Yeah.
Anchor people.
Sure. So I have a very quick process I can describe. I call it 4 steps to joy.
4 steps to joy.
Yeah. Okay. And I used to not value joy. I thought it was superficial. Well, you know what? I changed my mind. That's all. I just changed my mind. It's a value now. Okay. So first of all, when someone, if you get triggered, it's there's an acronym, SNOW. There's a story about that I won't go into because we don't have the time. The acronym is SNOW. So something happens and you're triggered and you're about to say or do something you think you might regret, it may not go well. S means stop. Don't say or do anything. Just take a moment and just stop. Say nothing, do nothing. N means notice. And what do you think I want you to notice? I want you to notice your body.
Yes.
Notice what the energy is. The energy contracted and hard, like your whole body's in a vice grip. Is it clenched? Is it wanting to strike out? Is it like melting away and falling apart? What's the energy? And use somatic language that you can feel in your body. And that's the N. SNO, S-N-O, means whatever you're doing, do the opposite. So if you're clenched, take a big breath, open your chest, open your heart, let your lungs fill with air and breathe. Or if you're falling apart, like in a puddle, then feel like you're putting it all together in alignment into a focus. Whatever the energy is, O is do the opposite. And then W is watch and see what happens next. And you might go, wow, that worked. I've had clients who do this and they write me, they say, I just had a SNOW moment and it worked.
Oh, I love it. I love that so much. What a great acronym. These have been amazing takeaways. So everybody stay, if you're just tuning in, I have Andrea Isaacs on this show, and you're going to have to go back and listen to this amazing show. But I'm just going to mention a couple of takeaways and stay here because what a fantastic offer she has to tell you about. So she focuses on the voice of the body, right? And somatic language, how important that is. And she does coaching, speaking, and training. And she said her mantra is, I deserve my dream. And you're very, very intentional every day with setting that intention in the morning. Who's the me I want to be And you had the acronym of SNOW, which is so powerful. So this has been amazing. So many great takeaways. I just love it. And I just love you and love having this relationship with you and this connection with you. And so tell our audience what you'd like to offer them, a way to work with you and experience what I've experienced myself, which was phenomenal.
Cool. Thank you so much. And I love you, and I love working with you too, Diane. And because of that, I'm going to give your listeners a really, really, really great discount on something. Okay. So if you go to eqquiz.com, it takes 5 or 10 minutes, and you'll answer some questions. You'll get a quiz a lot like what Diane showed you, but you'll have different, it'll look a little different. And the assessment has been so insightful for people. They finally realize why they've had the struggles they've had, why they love what they love, and why they do what they do. And in the conversation, I'll break it down and give you some tips about what you can do to change some of the challenges, so what you want to have happen can happen with more ease. And that's usually a $500 conversation. Mm-hmm. And because you're you and I want to really treat your people well, when you do the quiz, if you answer the question that says, how did you hear about this quiz? If you check Diane's name, Diane Forster, then when you go to do the assessment, and you'll get an email about that, you get a 50% discount.
Wow.
So instead of 500, it's 250. Yay.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, everybody sign up right away. Get your EQ quiz. Let me tell you, this will blow you away. And on the way Andrea takes you through it, I changed so many things I had such a heightened awareness and changed so many things about my communication and my awareness and understanding.
Cool.
Very, very cool. Very powerful. What a great gift. Thank you for your generosity. And thank you so much for being here. I just love and adore you. I know we're going to do other things together. There's no doubt about that. So, I just want to say you're amazing. Keep doing the impactful, powerful work you are doing. You are changing lives. You are changing the planet. And it's a pleasure to be on this journey with you.
Well, thank you for all of that. Back at you, Diane.
Well, thank you so much. All right. So one other thing that I would like to leave you with, I'm hosting an event in my home, a very private, exclusive event on Saturday, September 15th. It is called Eliminate Your Limiting Beliefs. And I'm talking about limiting beliefs and where they come from, how they're showing up in your lives, which ones are blocking you where. And it's going to be really illuminating where it's stopping you in the love, money, success, and happiness you desire and deserve. And so we're keeping it really small. It's limited to 12 people. There's a link in the comments section for you to get in. And like I said, it's private in my home, and it's only for 12 people, so that you can get the one-on-one personal attention and have the massive breakthroughs right away. So I'd love to see you here and serve you that way. And as always, thank you so much for being here at I Have Today with Diane Forster. Our intention again for the day is I have today to nurture my spirit, mind, and body. Honor yourself, honor all of yourself. And I so appreciate you being here. The show is nothing without you, our amazing, beautiful fans. And have an extraordinary day. And we'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.